This is Kate Baconsale. You're listening to Baconsale.
You're on the phone with this podcast. You're upset. You're going off about something that Joel said he doesn't get your humor like I do.
Don't make eye contact with me.
Cause he's Team Cyclops, Zach's Team Wolverine, I'm Team Gene, cause there needs to be an in-between. Dreaming about the day when you wake up and find a new episode has been here the whole time. If you could see that I'm the one that understands you, been here all along, so why can't you see? You agree with me. You agree with me. Thank you.
Wow.
Went a little past the intro song, but I had to do it.
That's really good.
Ken, I'm gonna let you speak here in a minute, but I have to say that was one of the greatest intros of all time.
Wow.
Of all time. Wow, what year is it?
Yeah, no joke.
Doesn't matter. Welcome to Baconsale. I'm Joel.
I'm Kent.
And I'm Zach.
We'd like to thank you for listening to our last show, our 7 favorite albums episode.
Yeah, it was fun. Seven. Yeah.
5 is an arbitrary odd number. Just give 7
We
some
have
credit.
5 fingers. It makes sense. That's why we count in 5s.
5 is an honorary even number, whereas like 6 is an honorary odd number.
Yeah.
It's a whole thing. But honestly, thank you to all you listener who participated. It was wonderful to see all your lists. I couldn't possibly mention them all, but thank you. I thought there was a lot of fun suggestions. I'm actually going to go in and listen to a lot of these albums. Oh, if our listener like them, they must be good because they listen to us, so they clearly have great taste. However, a couple comments from we have David Kelly here who said, I introduced my kids to That Thing You Do this morning on the way to school. They have not wanted to listen to anything else since.
Oh, that's so cute.
Sorry.
Good job, Zach.
That's a great song.
Todd Callan says, these are my favorite kinds of episodes. I love the Blue Album, live concerts, Rush, Queen, all the bracket shows, music bracket shows, of course. I hope you do part 2 with another 7 albums each.
Wait, so 8 through 14?
Yeah.
This next 7 favorites.
Starting, this is my 14th favorite album.
Arbitrary numbers.
Yeah.
Also, he says, I'm still waiting for you to do a show on the Beatles and 16 Stone. Just wait. So how about that? And then Terry Ann Finley says, Zach, bravo on selecting Razzmatazz. I seriously just found out about this band and album 2 weeks ago and have been listening nonstop. Makes me feel justified in what I'm listening to and not as old as I really am. My favorite song is Kiss Goodnight, which is a good one. It's a very good song. Honestly,
I don't know how, but they found me.
Yes, from I Don't Know How, But They Found Me, Razzmatazz album.
I hear they're local.
A lot of listener. We all are brought together by the fact that we used to listen to an old alternative radio station. And I know that if that station exists today, that I Don't Know How, But They Found Me album would just clean up.
Yeah, true story.
So,
And I did, gentlemen, fulfill my vow.
What?
The sacred finger boo vow. And
Yeah.
I did the math. And I listened to your 7, which means 2 times 7 is 14.
Yes.
I listened to all 14 of your albums.
Wow.
Between the last show airing and this show airing.
I can't believe you listened to them all. I listened to several,
How
but
did
not
it
all of
go?
Good. For the
Yeah.
most part, it was actually a very pleasant experience.
Sure.
It was funny because like I probably annoyed you guys, but I was giving you commentary.
I
the
did.
entire
I actually
time.
loved it.
There were some backhanded compliments in there.
There were.
Basically, Joel hates Muse.
I didn't say I hate Muse.
That's what I got.
What I said was I thought I liked Muse more. I don't know if I like. I don't know.
You know I take that as hate, right?
Which is a problem because you guys both picked Muse. But
Yeah.
man, there's a lot of feedback and high pitched singing.
I'll tell you what, more so on the one that Kent picked, to the point when I re-listened to it this time,
It fits. It's wonderful.
I didn't like it as much.
Oh, stop it.
As I used to.
It's great.
Yeah.
It's less listenable than it used
Yes,
to be.
I fulfilled my part of the vow.
old ears. Well, thank you, Joel.
Yeah.
Thank you for
It was
participating.
fun. I encourage anyone to go out there and listen to these albums. It
Yeah.
was fun. I'd also like to give some encouragement to not a new patron, a patron upgrade.
Nice.
Upgrade.
An
You can do
upgrade.
that?
You can. Anna Bravo was a tier 3 patron.
Tier 1 name right
tier
there.
But now she's a tier 2 patron.
Hey.
So she gets access to our video reviews, access to our Baconsale
should
approved
do one
lists.
of those.
Yeah.
And then Baconsale wallpaper as well.
Yeah.
So,
There we go. Thanks,
so
Anna.
fun
Very
little
cool.
extra perks for being a tier 2 patron. Thank you, Anna. We appreciate that. We appreciate your upgrade.
Thank you.
It means you like us a little.
You really like us.
Yeah. But that's not what we're talking about today. What are we talking about today, Zach?
Love is in the air, and we're going to review it through the course of the classic love triangle.
Oh, the
Yeah.
old trope.
Ah, yes,
Yes.
love triangle. So you don't know what a love triangle is.
Tell us.
You obviously never were in junior high. But it is usually...
Is that
Wait.
geometry?
Are you
Or
saying
is
you had
that
2 people that
relationships?
liked you?
But Wikipedia, the source of all knowledge and
Sure,
truth,
yeah.
says a love triangle or eternal triangle, which I've never heard it called
What?
that, is a scenario or circumstance usually depicted as a rivalry in which two people are pursuing or are involved in a romantic relationship with one person.
Okay.
One person typically ends up feeling betrayed at some point. For example, person A is jealous of person C, who is having a relationship with person B,
I hate story problems
in
so
person
much.
A's eyes is, quote, their person. That's how Wikipedia defines a love triangle.
Okay.
Fun fact, statistics suggest that in Western society, willingly or not, most adults have been involved in a love triangle.
Wait, have we all here?
Willingly or not?
Have
Hold
you guys
on.
been involved in a love triangle?
Like, do the people know?
Well, I mean, that you like someone, but they like someone else, or someone liked you, but you like someone
Sure.
else.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like, say for example, in college, you go over to the girl's apartment that's across the way, and you go meet them, and they're like, "Oh wow, she's really cute," and then the other
But
girl's
shouldn't
like, "I really like
be
you."
a romantic interest in some way to be part of that love triangle? Otherwise, I'm just a stalker.
Not necessarily, as
Are
we're
we
going to
sure?
find out on this list.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
true.
that's
There's
true.
a lot of, non-reciprocated feelings.
But as a story element, the love triangle story structure has been around since the days of William Shakespeare and Alexander Dumas. And in fact, I want to bring this up, that 3 of the highest grossing movies of all time, adjusted for inflation, are romantic epics that feature very prominently a love triangle at its core.
Okay, so
Gone
Star
with the
Wars.
Wind.
Gone with the Wind.
Star
Yes.
Wars.
Nope.
Luke.
Zach, no. I mean, yes, in that first movie, yes.
That's a different show. Gone with the Wind, yes.
Okay.
Titanic.
Oh, yeah.
Billy Zane.
Dr. Zhivago.
Dr. Zhivago.
Which is one of the highest grossing. We have to do a show about the highest grossing of all times, because that is definitely the odd man out. But so yes, love triangles, they're very prominent because it does cause that little, oh, will they, won't they? And
Yeah.
who are they going to go for? A little tension there.
But in fiction, I feel like it's generally done not even very subtly.
No.
Right? Because, for example, we could choose all rom-coms. This could be a complete rom-com episode
Totally
and be
could
like, hey, she should pick this guy because this other guy's really mean, because there's usually only one good choice. Right? There's a likable guy who's written into the most of the movie, but it's almost like she's not giving him a chance.
There's one
till the
good
end.
choice, and it's not the most handsome one,
Yeah.
usually.
Right? He's the
Yeah.
regular guy.
No, the handsome guy is the one that he's a murderer. And you're like, oh, is she going to choose the murderer or the philanthropist?
But maybe they seem nice for a little bit, but then something is revealed that they're actually a horrible person.
Puppy
Yep.
kicker, as Zach said earlier.
Puppy, yeah, the guy
Okay.
who will kick the puppy.
Yeah, because then you're like, why would you choose that guy?
Yeah.
It almost makes whoever's
makes it
choosing.
easy.
Yeah.
It makes it easy for the viewer to say, don't choose him, choose the nice guy.
Heaven forbid you give conflict to the viewer.
Yeah. So
No.
we wanted to go a little more subtle on this. And so, not subtle, but more straightforward, more difficult, I guess, of a decision.
Okay.
Yeah, they'll get there. I had a brain triangle just then.
Oh, no.
But
Like the Bermuda Triangle,
it's kind
but
of
it's
like
for
that.
brains.
But we have chosen 14, the
Brains.
most romantic number. 14.
Which is twice 7, by the way.
7 times 2. Thank you, Zach.
Baconsale season 9 is all about the
all
number 7.
7. But we have chosen
Prime numbers.
14 love triangles from film and TV that we are now going to present to you. And we're going to have a discussion as to whether the character made the right decision and who we would pick in that
Okay.
situation.
And are we trying to convince everyone, or are we
If
just
we were that
or
character.
are we like saying their future is going to now be with this character? Baconsale approved they've chosen this character.
I think it's a little
Alternate
bit of a
reality.
little bit of
Okay.
a mini versus show here, where it's like,
Okay.
we got to pick a winner here.
I feel good about
And
that.
if we don't, they're just left alone by themselves. And that's sad.
But I mean, I think some of these people should end up alone. Maybe because they'd be better off alone, or that they wouldn't deserve.
Did you just quote a 2000s Eurotrash dance hit?
You know you love it.
I do. Alice DJ's awesome.
But maybe some of these people are kind of crappy, and they shouldn't get anyone in the end.
Whoa, that seems like a dark finale. Ken, it's Valentine's Day.
Oh, yeah,
Unless you're listening to this later.
Yes.
Everyone deserves someone,
I'm
right?
sure, unless you have self-love, like Elsa. Just,
Let it go, Ken.
Let it go.
Let's move on.
Okay. Let's go into the unknown with our list.
oh, wow.
We're going. We're doing alphabetical by title of the show.
Yeah,
today.
sounds great.
So there's no specific order.
Yeah.
except for alphabetical.
Yeah, we
It's a
will
very
do our best to
specific
give you
order.
some context about what these shows are and who these characters are.
Yeah.
So even if you haven't seen it, you can make an educated guess as you play along at home.
For example,
or in the car.
Let's start with Buffy.
The Vampire Slayer.
Yes,
Buffy.
indeed.
Use her
Vampire
full
Slayer.
title.
Sorry, Buffy.
She did not go to Slayer school to not have your respect.
Buff Eve, the Campfire Slayer.
Yes.
Inside jokes.
So Buffy the Vampire Slayer ran from 1997 to 2003.
Yes.
And the show
Sarah Michelle
synopsis
Gellar.
is a young woman destined to slay vampires, demons, and other infernal creatures deals with her life fighting evil with the help of her friends.
Yes.
Show created by Don't Worry About It.
So context for this one, you have Buffy, who's your lead, and
Played by Sarah Michelle Gellar.
yeah, there's like a nerd at school named Xander who likes her, but that doesn't matter because she falls in love with a let's say 130-year-old vampire. Right? Age doesn't matter, but it's older, and he's
not the
older.
oldest relationship in this.
No,
by the
not
way.
at all. They fall in love. It's kind of this forbidden love because he doesn't have he has a soul.
He's a vampire with a soul.
But he has a dark past. And if he experiences true emotion, true love, he will lose his soul and become a murderer.
This is Angel.
This is Angel.
Yes, this is Angel. But
David Boreanaz.
When you say
And then-
true love, it's a little more.
I'm being family friendly,
thank
Joel.
you. I was going to say it's a little more.
This is for
physical
you.
than that. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Apparently,
Because he loves her, but in showing that
it's
love,
kind
he
of like
turns evil.
no joke. It's kind of an after school special sort of thing.
Oh, it gets so
right, little melodramatic.
dumb at that part.
But then Angel went to do his own spin-off show. And so they brought in this vampire they introduced earlier who is just kind of like this punk, right? Like he's meant to be this.
He's Billy Idol.
He's Billy Idol, this antagonist to Buffy, but they always kind of had this banter. But later on in the show, he became the new replacement vampire love for Buffy, who
Yeah.
was supposed to kill vampires.
And that was Spike.
Yeah, so our two opponents, the choices Buffy has, are Angel and Spike.
Angel, played by David Boreanaz, who you might recognize from Bones, and Spike, played by James Marsters, who you might recognize from Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
He was a voice in Dragon Ball Z.
He was a voice in Dragon Ball.
Was he a voice or was he in the movie Dragon Ball Evolution?
Oh, maybe that's what I'm thinking.
He was Lord Piccolo.
Yeah.
Wait, you gave him the Lord title?
Lord Piccolo.
Why do you
so
know
bad?
that? So there has been some discussion about this, just so you're all aware, from Ms. Gellar herself, from Sarah Michelle Gellar. She said, quote, "There was something so beautiful to me about the Buffy and Angel story. I think that Spike understood a different part of who Buffy was, and I think that she needed to understand that and discover. But for me, as Buffy, I think Angel is her choice."
Yeah, because he's kind of the original. It's the first love, and we're going to run into this a lot with these choices of like
Yeah.
the high school sweethearts, even though he wasn't in high school.
Minor spoiler alert.
Yeah.
For all these shows going forward, we're going to talk about maybe who they have chosen. It's hard to choose because like a lot of these decisions we're making, the decision was made at the end.
Yes.
Because in this show, she kind of chose both. She chose Angel, and
Yeah.
then she chose Spike, and then she kind of chose neither, and then one of them died.
Yeah.
I can say that. So
Right.
So it depends on where we're putting this in the timeline, but I think it's kind of an overall.
Like, who should she end up with?
Yeah.
Because, yeah, sure, the shows had spin-offs, and they went and did their own thing,
Yeah.
and maybe even moved on to...
One of them died, then was resurrected. I
Right.
should also clarify that.
So I think Buffy's love with Angel is one of, like, star-crossed lovers, which will come into play a lot here. But it feels like a relationship of, like, Twitterpation and teen romance. It's really brooding and dramatic, and it feels just meant to be. But it's weird.
It's pre-Twilight.
It really is.
Yeah.
I think that's where Stephanie Meyer honestly got everything.
I completely agree.
And then you have Spike, and they have, like, it feels to me, even though there were more difficult and ugly parts of their relationship, it felt like a relationship built on years of friendship and even antagonism, and one where he grew, or I guess they grew to love each other. And I'm trying to decide what would be better for someone, right? To be friends with someone, warts and all, find love with them, or to be like, this is my one and only. This is the one that got away. They're always going to be the higher standard that you hold someone to.
Right.
Because I think Buffy always held Spike to the higher standard of Angel.
Yes. Yeah, she was always comparing him to Angel.
Right.
Neither one of these guys.
I love that we're having this conversation. I feel like we're like going geeky like season 2.
Oh, there's so many blogs posts out there about this.
By the way, this is like sponsored by BuzzFeed. Pretty much.
But I mean, Angel does have the dark side of Angelus.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know if that was a one-time thing when he turned evil after expressing his love to Buffy, but it could happen again, and that's a concern. Angel is a real danger. Spike,
But at the same time, let's
danger.
talk about souls, right? Angel needed a soul to be in love with Buffy. Spike doesn't have a soul, never did, and he loved Buffy.
doesn't he get a soul?
In Angel the series, but not in...
I thought he did in Buffy when he goes to that whole chamber thing. Was that in Angel?
Joel, we're getting too deep.
We
We're
are
getting way too deep into the weeds.
Pull it back. Let's go back to the
But
thing
there is
here.
something said that Spike can actually, like, I don't know, kiss Buffy. Like, he can actually be affectionate with Buffy. Where,
a little over affectionate
okay,
at
yeah.
times.
He is actually...
When he attacks
at times,
her.
he is a very abusive boyfriend, and I think that is the main thing. I think I would say,
Spike don't play with girls.
yeah. It's bad.
It's bad.
I would say
It's a bad point.
I actually would
tragic.
pick Spike because I feel like it was more developed what they had on the show, and the show got a little bit deeper. But then there is the aggressiveness, to put it lightly,
Yeah.
that Spike showed that really brings it down.
I just looks wise, it's got to be Angel, David Boreanaz. Well, sure, yeah.
But the cheekbones of James Marsters?
Nah, I have a problem with Spike. I always have, because I can't stand when I can tell someone is putting on airs and pretending. And
I like his British accent.
Well, that. I mean,
Yeah.
The fact that he wasn't British was surprising me.
Sure.
But it's that whole cool boy, I look like Billy Idol kind of thing. I always never liked that. And then I never bought them as a couple, never enjoyed it. I am definitely voting for Angel in this round.
Me too.
Angel's his first, and Buffy's first love and her best love. Although both of them are vampires, she should have just gone with Riley, but that's a whole different story.
Riley's the worst.
He gets to be the worst.
I don't like Riley.
That's fine.
Xander, maybe.
No, Xander.
Come on.
Angel it is, boys.
That's like, hurry
There
up.
we go.
Yeah.
Now let's change gears and continue to stay nerdy with a television show called Community.
So Community ran from 2009 to 2015. The show synopsis: a suspended lawyer is forced to enroll in a community college with an eccentric staff and student body.
So you have Jeff, who's played by Joel McHale, and in the first episode, he's joining this community college, and he sees someone he's very attracted to.
I love it in the show when he's like, "What do you mean you didn't have a degree? I thought you got yours from Columbia." He's like, "Yeah, now I have to get it from America."
Exactly.
Just so good.
So he lusts after Britta, and Britta's played by Jillian Jacobs, and she's not giving him the time of day. They're just sassy towards each other, and it kind of seems like this Sam and Diane, Sam and Rebecca sort of thing.
But
from
he
Cheers,
builds
right?
this whole study group
Yes.
with the sole intent of just being around Britta Perry.
Yes.
And in that study group is also Annie Edison, this compulsive overachiever. It's weird. It's kind of like they're both Jesse Spano, but different aspects of Jesse Spano.
You're right.
Reference.
Yeah, little Saved by the Bell reference there.
Okay, there we go.
Yeah. But so you have Britta and you have Annie, and at first Jeff is primarily pursuing Britta and only Britta.
Yeah.
But as the show progresses, as their relationship progresses,
Does it earn it?
then he decides to. There's a point where the show tries to pair up Jeff and Annie.
Did you like this?
It was always a little creepy to me because they play off how young Annie is,
18.
and Jeff is older.
34.
Yeah. And so it's that whole thing of like, oh, that's kind of weird. But then
Yeah.
they also comment on the fact of how young they are, and they never. I don't think they're ever in a full relationship.
So no, they're not. The way they treat this
They
is
kiss in a debate.
That's a great moment, though.
Yeah. There
I
are
love that
a
episode.
lot of moments where Jeff and Britta, because they're both kind of terrible people.
They're both kind of the worst.
Everyone hates Britta. And I think Jeff deserves to be alone. That's actually my vote because he doesn't deserve anyone.
But he grows and matures as the series goes on.
I disagree.
He does. In the end, he definitely is a different person, as is Britta.
No,
Well,
but even then, no, I disagree because I think he has something sweeter with Annie. And in the end, he imagines this future with Annie, but he makes her into the Annie he first met. Like he kind of gives her this idealized version, not a realistic version of who she is.
Mm-hmm.
And I think so he could never truly be happy with how she's grown as a person because he's just too short-sighted. Whereas like he and Britta, they're both terrible people and their passion is crazy, right? Paintball episode where they're just like, hey, this is great. But they also can't really be in a relationship, but they understand each other's darkness, I think.
I think Jeff and Britta are very similar, and that's why they get along. That's why they work together, because they're
Yeah.
both that. I do think Annie makes Jeff a better person.
But don't you think Jeff makes Annie worse?
Yes. And so I'm not going to put Jeff with Annie. I do think Britta and Jeff both matured as the show went along, and they could get together. They could have gotten together. I mean, in the show,
Sure.
In the show,
Yeah.
neither. He doesn't end up with neither. He dated Britta for a while, and then him and Annie were almost romantic for a bit, but then they all kind of went their separate ways.
Yeah. I could see Jeff and Britta like getting married like randomly and then getting divorced and getting married and getting divorced a few times because that's just how they are. It's a love-hate thing.
Yeah.
And I think Jeff would end up alone, but of the two, Britta.
It really is like, if you haven't seen Community, highly recommend it.
Yes.
Love this show, full of pop culture references, very, very entertaining. And even what they do with Britta's character, where she starts off as very much like this anarchist, atheist activist, and kind of just very strong and even like almost clever.
Yeah.
But as the show goes along, they realize that's not funny. So then they turn her into this not hypocritical because she thinks she's doing something right, but then she just does everything.
No, but she's someone
wrong.
that wants sympathy after a time.
Yeah.
She doesn't get why people don't like her.
No, I think they even call it, the term is Brita-ing things when things mess up. They call it Brita-ing things, and I think it's hilarious.
So Zach, what about you? Do you think that Annie would work for Jeff, or
No.
even though in the show
Have you finished the series?
Not completely.
they make Jeff like hold that relationship sacred. He keeps it very secret, and like anytime they're together, he's like he won't tell anyone.
Maybe it's the age difference. Maybe it's, I mean, especially early on in the show, Annie is played so innocently. I'm like, it's a little sister thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it just makes me uncomfortable.
They do make it a little less awkward when it all starts happening.
As it seems to go. I've noticed that, but yeah, I just can't get behind it.
So are you voting for Britta or no one?
I hate Britta and Jeff's a jerk, so let's put them together.
Okay. Britta and Jeff.
Sorry, Britta.
Love triangle solved.
Now let's step away from
There's so many shifting gears.
television.
Oh, let's do a rom-com.
Let's
Should we
do a rom-com. It was real funny. There's a clown in this one. It's The Dark Knight.
Yes. Should Catwoman end up with Batman or the Joker? No, that's not it.
I feel like this one leans very serious.
It is.
It is,
Well,
because-
first, because we got Rachel.
Yeah. So we have The Dark Knight. If you have not seen The Dark Knight, go watch it.
I mean, if you haven't.
When the menace knows his...
At this point, it's overrated.
No.
Take it easy. That's like 3 times in a couple
What
months.
the heck is happening to you?
It's overrated.
It's not. It's literally the
not.
best piece of any superhero film ever put to film.
That's like the best of the worst.
You said they're all bad, and this is the best.
Yeah.
That is ridiculous.
Okay,
are
moving
you?
on.
Ken Baconsale approved. It's
Baconsale approved. It's the best
But
superhero.
it's the best superhero movie, but that's not saying
It's
much.
so great that it's a crime drama. Like it doesn't fit in the genre.
It's like
Save it for our Batman defending show, which apparently we're going to have to do one day against Zach.
Zach.
daytime local
Zach!
Emmy. Wow.
How dare he? I can't look at him for a while. I
Yeah.
know
So
you-
Joel, tell me about
Synopsis.
Tell me about the greatest superhero
When the
film
menace
ever.
known as the Joker wreaks havoc and chaos on the people of Gotham, Batman must accept one of the greatest psychological and physical tests of his ability to fight injustice. And this is Rachel Dawes, played by Maggie Gyllenhaal / Katie Holmes. But
I mean, at
Maggie
this
Gyllenhaal.
point, for this triangle, it's Maggie Gyllenhaal.
Well, for the background, we need to know what happens in Batman Begins because they're childhood friends. We have Bruce Wayne and Rachel, and
she knows
she
that-
knows everything about him.
she knows that, spoiler alert, Bruce Wayne is Batman.
What? So, but yeah, she knows all about his darkness. She knows about what he is doing for Gotham, him seeking justice.
She also is aware that Bruce Wayne is more of a persona than people.
Yes, she knows
know.
he's putting on this millionaire playboy act to kind of throw people off.
Yeah.
And then you have Harvey Dent,
yeah.
played by Aaron Eckhart.
Yeah.
District Attorney.
And, former seminary movie star.
Yeah, true story.
And
Emily, my friend.
but he is a good moral guy who's standing out and trying to stand up to injustice in the city of Gotham.
The Dark Knight and the White Knight.
By being the politician that everyone needs to look up to and believe that there's good in this world.
The hero they deserve, but not the one they need right. Or is it the hero they need right now? I never remember.
Well, Harvey is the hero she needed, but
Yeah.
not the one she deserved.
Really?
I feel. I think that Harvey is, and obviously they're dating in the movie. That's what the movie is saying. It's like
yes, Harvey and Rachel are dating in Dark
because of
Knight.
Bruce's choices and what he has to do for Gotham. He can't be with her, and she refuses to be with him.
Yes.
Even though they allude to the fact of her saying, there's always been a chance if you could just leave Gotham behind. Leave your responsibilities behind. But she knows his obsession. She knows his darkness.
Well, she does. And the fact, man, we're getting to major spoilers here too, but she basically has to make a choice of Harvey or Bruce. And she does.
Yeah.
She makes a choice and she writes a letter.
Do you have the letter?
I don't have the. You have the letter?
I do.
Do it.
Wow.
And I guess this really proves the case.
Do your best Maggie Gyllenhaal impersonation.
Can I just do Katie Holmes' impression?
Do Jake. You're close enough.
Jake
They're siblings.
Dear Bruce, I need to be honest and clear.
Spot on Jake.
Yeah, really.
Gyllenhaal, not Rogers.
Yeah.
I'm going to marry Harvey Dent. I love him, and I want to spend the rest of my life with him. When I told you if Gotham no longer needed Batman, we could be together, I meant it. But now I'm not sure the day won't come when you no longer need Batman. I hope it does, and if it does, I will be there. But as your friend, I'm sorry to let you down. If you lose your faith in me, please keep your faith in people. Love, now and always. Rachel.
Da-na-na-na-na-na-na, friend zone.
And that's the thing. After Batman Begins, you're like, hey, Batman's not really meant to have a love interest, even though we all kind of thought it was Vicky Vale back in the day.
Yeah, we did.
But he's cursed, right? He is such an obsessive personality. He's not known for having that long-standing love
You
interest.
can't have a stable relationship when you're moonlighting as a vigilante. I've tried. Did not go well.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that. This is a bummer.
Yeah.
I'm glad you gave that up because now...
Yeah, it worked out great.
Right?
She's the vigilante. It works out very well.
Wow.
Yeah.
Good on her.
Yeah.
Anyway, so like she did choose, but maybe, I don't know, maybe she's hiding a little bit of darkness too. I think she and Bruce kind of have a shared trauma based on their past. Is there a way that she and Bruce could have been together?
Not for an extended period of time, I don't think.
You don't think so?
No, because of the fact that
Because you saw how sad
Gotham
Bruce
needs
was.
Batman as much as Batman needs Gotham.
Right, but he also left Gotham behind when he was blamed for everything that happened, right? Like he gave Batman up because of his sadness and because of the responsibility
and
he
it
has.
blew Rachel away when he did that.
Oh, boy.
But the real truth is because of her ties. Actually, hold on, pull that back. Was it Rachel's ties to Harvey Dent?
Why were you talking about her outfits?
That put her in that spot?
What do you
Or
mean?
was it her ties to Batman? Of the choice, the life-threatening choice of Harvey and
I
Rachel.
don't think...
Is that because Joker wanted to mess with Batman or because he was trying to make Harvey Dent look bad?
I think it's Harvey Dent.
Yeah, so is it more because she was...
because he specifically
the way
made
you
Batman
threw
decide.
yourself at her.
Yeah, he specifically made Batman decide who he was going to... It was Batman's game, and they were both tied to him.
It's crazy that this is a love triangle that really came down to a choice where he chose and chose... He had no idea what the choice actually would be.
Yeah, he chose what he thought was the right choice.
Yes.
Only to find out the Joker had switched
Him.
Really dire
Spoiler
circumstances.
Man, I love that. I love that movie.
It is a masterpiece.
It is a
actually.
masterpiece.
Yes, Baconsale approved.
Baconsale approved as a masterpiece. Boom.
Action scenes could use some work.
Hello.
That's true, but still,
And
you win. Okay, so are we saying
we all say Harvey Dent?
even though he's got a dark side, clearly
He does, but I think that was gasoline.
But that
induced.
that wouldn't have come out were it not for the trauma of Rachel's situation.
Probably
not.
sure because
so.
die a hero or live long enough to be the villain.
I don't
Yeah,
think he
right.
would have been
He
pushed
knew.
to that point. He was pushed to and beyond the breaking point. And
Yes.
so that's
I believe
that's
Rachel
what
should
happened.
be with Billy D. Williams. I mean Harvey Dent.
Oh no! All right, I agree.
Yeah, it's true.
Sorry, Batman.
I believe in Harvey Dent.
He could be with Vicky Vale or Selena Kyle.
Now that we have brought
Poison
it
Ivy.
to this dark place, let's remain here. We're moving toward Friends.
There
That
we
wasn't
go.
planned.
I love you guys.
We were ready. We're like, and clap.
Friends ran from 1994 to 2004, and the show synopsis follows the personal and professional lives of 6 20 to 30-year-olds living in the Manhattan borough of New York City. So of course, in this love triangle, we are talking about Phoebe Buffay and what did it say?
Mike?
Crap bag.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah. Well, there's been a few love triangles here because Ross. He's married. He was going to get married to this British girl.
Yeah, I believe.
and so it's always a will they, won't they. But for the first 3 seasons, the whole focus was Ross and Rachel.
Yes.
And Rachel was always too good for Ross.
But the triangle here is Rachel at the top, Ross on one side, and then Joey Tribbiani on the other side. Because if you don't remember, which season is that?
8. Let's say 8.
It's down the road a ways. But they do this whole kind of storyline where Joey who starts having feelings for Rachel while she's pregnant with Ross's baby.
Yeah, and I think there's something to be said about that.
I hate it.
Okay, most people did. Most people actually hate the whole plot line, but I don't think that is a character issue. I think it's a writing issue. I think that what they did is they said, hey, Joey and Rachel have something special. They became roommates.
Yeah.
And they really did fall in love. And in the circumstances, pretty special because Ross is a bad boyfriend. He's a horrible boyfriend.
He's not a horrible boyfriend. They were on a break.
No, listen. He is possessive in every which way. He's a liar. He's very manipulative. Whereas you have Joey Tribbiani, and I feel like he was written poorly because they actually
Joey
have...
Tribbiani isn't a liar?
Not with Rachel, no. Okay. No, he's a very genuine guy with Rachel. But I think what they did, Anna, right?
2 Rachels in a row.
Right. I think, there was an episode where they were kissing, Rachel and Joey, and they're like, we don't have any chemistry. Oh no, we need to force chemistry. And it was like, oh, so the writers just hate the Joey and Rachel thing. And I think audiences did too.
I hate it. I hate that
But
storyline.
as characters, look at them as characters. Should she end up with Ross? Just because we're kind of bred to like that idea.
She should have ended up with Barry. I'm kidding.
When they were together, nobody really cared. They broke them up because it was less entertaining. It's a Jim and Pam thing.
Well, it's the will they won't they when you resolve that.
It's not fun.
Yeah. But I will say this. One of the reasons I don't like the Joey and Rachel thing is, first of all, I didn't buy the couple, but second of all, I don't like serious Joey. And they turn him into a serious character. Where he's like, he's over there like, oh, I'm goofy. And then, I don't know what to do about this Rachel situation. I don't share food. Joey doesn't share food. This Rachel thing, I'm pondering it again. It's so unnatural every time he gets serious, and I hate it.
But isn't that a character arc? Like, should he stop being the goofy friend?
It's not a character arc. In fact, I'd say Joey's more two-faced than Harvey Dent was. Where it's like,
you stop it right now.
He flips back and forth in this way that I'm like, it doesn't feel natural, it doesn't feel right.
Listen,
I hate it.
We all like Ross because he seems like a nice guy, but he tried to sabotage Rachel's career throughout the series just because of his jealousy, whether they were dating or not. Joey almost said, hey, if you need to choose someone else, I won't get in your way. Like, how sweet is that?
It's sweet. But
my choice is Joey, by the way.
Oh, please.
Like, I know the plot line is no fun, but I think for who the two people are, she deserves better, and she deserves Joey.
So Rachel,
Joey is better in this
I'll say
case.
this, Rachel doesn't deserve a lot better because she also does a lot of horrible things to people around her.
Well, yeah, yes.
They all do.
It's
but
friends.
I think Ross has had a crush on Rachel since he was
stalker
10
crush.
years old. No, he was just the older brother, and he was the geeky older brother.
Yeah,
and
pining.
You never pined for someone.
For 13 years? For 15 years?
When they happen to cross paths again? This is a dream come true, Ken. It's that childhood crush you had that you get a second chance with.
I'm Ross. I'm gonna mope after the whole time. Yeah, right. I think it was very possessive, very controlling the entire way through.
No, I think Ross definitely has his moments of jealousy, but that's all written to the show.
Yeah, season 3 through 7.
But he honestly loves Rachel. He always has, and he has this affection for her. Do I think the relationship's going to last long, forever?
I mean, they have in the show been married like 3 times, I think, on accident,
Yes,
right?
Well, Ross alone has been married 3 times.
Yeah,
But.
and I will say there is a time when Rachel went to England. Ross was about to get married, and she wasn't purposely like trying to get in the way, but she did kind of go to derail his wedding.
Yeah,
because she wasn't ready for that to happen.
Exactly, she sabotaged his wedding. They deserve each other, I think, because he like you said, he'd been pining for her for so long. He finally made his move. It worked out, but they weren't ready for each other yet. But I do feel like by the end of the show, both of them got to a point where they could work out.
The show's called Friends. Joey and Rachel started out as friends, and they grew into love. And I think she should.
No, it obviously didn't, based on the fact that they torpedoed that.
The writers
line.
were mean to Joey at that point
because they
wrote him poorly.
Terrible. It was a terrible
meanwhile,
storyline.
when Rachel was living with Ross, he would hide the fact that guys were calling Rachel when they weren't together. They were just living together, raising a child. He would be very controlling.
No,
I think that's very dangerous.
Issues, but I think Ross is actually maybe. I mean, Chandler and Monica are a fun couple to see together.
Yeah, I agree.
And the fact that they were able to get married and keep that story going.
I don't think we've ever talked about Friends on this show, except for the theme song.
Deep. But I do feel like Ross and Rachel, it is that classic will they, won't they? We didn't include Cheers on here with Sam and Diana and Rebecca. But this is definitely one of the best examples of a will they, won't they?
But
and it's so fulfilling when they finally get together.
But when it's horrible. And they break it up immediately because it's no fun. And it's dangerous to each other.
No.
Zach?
When they kissed outside the cafe that first time, it was amazing.
It's a good sitcom moment.
When she didn't get on the plane at the end, it's amazing. This is a great couple. Ross and Rachel need to be together.
Rachel and Joey. Ross and Joey.
That's a totally different story.
That could work.
All right, Zach, you have to make a choice.
Oh, I have to choose
Make
this time.
the choice.
Well, it's Ross.
Thank you.
Why? Why?
Because you don't have to be contrary to everything we say, Kent.
No, I think Ross
this
is
the way
dangerous.
it went. I'm going the other way.
Well, sometimes you got to, right?
Ross.
Sometimes you got to fix the errors that the writers made.
I mean, Friends always seem like a show. It's like, let's just take turns dating each other. And really, everybody's bad for everybody in some way.
Yeah. I think you're demonizing Ross way more than he should be demonized compared to everyone else on the show.
I agree. You're making Ross the bad guy.
He's not the bad guy, but he's bad for Rachel.
No, he's not. They're good for each other.
They're fine for each other. Let's not go straight to good.
Good isn't great.
Better. Okay. Staying on TV here, we actually did a whole episode on this. Not Friends, but Gilmore Girls.
What? La 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 la.
So the triangle here. Oh, we should talk about the show first. The show. We did a whole episode about this. Dramedy centering around the relationship between a 30-something single mother and her teen daughter living in Stars Hollow, Connecticut.
So, Joel, I've only seen the first season, so I'm going to try to explain what happens with these relationships.
Please do.
You ready?
Well, first of all, this isn't a triangle.
No, this
is a square.
This is a 4-pointed triangle.
That's quadrangle.
Triple twins.
Quadrangle. Yeah. So you have Rory Gilmore at the top, the teen daughter.
Tri-tip.
You have her first boyfriend, Dean, her second boyfriend, Jess, and her college boyfriend, Logan.
So a quad tip triangle.
Yes. And did these all at the same time? Like she was ending it with one guy and then she'd start dating another guy? Or were there like a season in between?
There's some overlap between Dean and Jess.
I don't think it ever goes square, though. It does stay triangle.
Well, Logan and Jess also have a run-in. And then Dean
But Dean's out of the picture by then.
Dean comes in the picture for a bit.
Dean comes back in the
a bad
picture.
person, right?
Dean is makes bad decisions.
Dean makes bad decisions.
So I've only seen the
But
first
let's
season.
be honest,
Rory makes bad
Rory
decisions.
makes bad decisions.
Rory's the worst.
Can we say that Rory ends up alone? Because I feel like she will.
Does, kind of.
I feel like
but also like doesn't.
I like Dean because I only saw the first season. I was like, he seems, because he's dopey, right? He seems like a good high school boyfriend.
He is kind of a stereotypical high school
Right.
boyfriend. A little bit
Yeah.
jealous,
And
a little
then
bit mature.
overbearing.
And everyone told me, you're not going to
Manipulative.
like him later, but right now, he fits where Rory's at.
Yeah.
Even though she's crazy smug.
And then you get Jess, who's kind of the bad boy.
Who's he played by?
Milo Vinamelmo.
That's exactly right. Wait, who's Dean played by?
Dean Palakal.
Jared.
Oh, Jared Palakal. I forget, 'cause is he Sam? Is he Dean? Is he
now,
Jared?
Who's Logan Huntsberger played by? You want to read that name right there?
Logan is. Oh, it's Matt.
Yeah. Good job, Zach.
Achuri.
Zach,
Jury.
since you and I don't know much about the show, I feel like you know a little bit less than I.
I know a little bit. Maybe a little bit more.
Oh, maybe more?
I would
He's
challenge.
married to a
Oh,
Gilmore
that's true.
girl.
She's in it.
Who would you pick for Rory?
It's Jess. For me, it's Jess.
Okay, explain Jess, because we haven't really talked about him.
Jess is, even though he's a bad boy, he represents the intellectual match.
As does Logan, though.
But were they
That's-
Logan
weren't
is-
they
Logan is a little too pretty boy for me.
weren't they destructive to each other, Jess and Rory?
So,
Like bickering a lot?
well, Jess is a terrible, horrible person.
Is he?
He's
Is
a terrible,
he?
horrible
Go
person. But he also, he's that whole thing where he's just rebelling the whole time. He could be a good
He's a
person. He could
teenager.
do things.
A terrible, horrible person, or like Pete from the Buttercream Gang.
No, he's terrible. He's a terrible, horrible person, like intentionally making things awkward and terrible for the people of Stars Hollow. I could not stand Jess. From the minute he walked in the door, I hated him.
I'm shocked.
Hated him. But then he would let these little insights of like, oh yes, I am actually intelligent, but I don't want to act. I don't want to let anyone else know. It drove me nuts.
Let him get through his cool guy phase.
Well,
But I will say this, Zach.
yeah.
In the revival, in Gilmore Girls: A Year in the Life, he is by far the best possible person out of these three
But
guys.
they don't connect, right? Doesn't he just leave with like a longing stare?
Yeah. That's
And
it.
that's it.
But he's helping Luke. He's helping. He's talking to Rory. He basically says, Rory, what are you doing with your life? You're completely wasting your life. Get with the program.
Yeah.
Do something. And I loved that moment. He'd matured so much that was almost redeeming for me. But to pick him for Rory, I could never do that.
The real battle is between, I think, Jess and Logan. And TVLine.com had a poll, and they had Team Jess winning 54% to Logan's 46%.
I also cannot stand Logan. He calls
But
her,
Logan was the most long-standing boyfriend of the show, right? So he's a rich kid, apparently pretty smart.
The problem is
He
Logan
can hang
comes in
with
later
Rory.
in the game,
Yeah,
and
college.
and he doesn't keep going back and forth. Like both Jess and Dean come back and forth in the story, come and go for better for worse. But Logan is one of those. He's the rich kid's son at Yale, and he's the party kid doing all these pranks. Been kicked out of a bunch of schools.
I read that he did want to commit more than the others. For
He
Rory.
did, but then he was very threatened by when Jess shows up.
Okay.
And he finds out that they were, sweethearts back in the day. He gets very mad about that and very jealous, and he's a big jerk.
Admittedly, I know the least about Logan.
Spoiler alert. Spoiler alert for Gilmore Girls: A Year in the Life.
Oh, not yet.
5, 6, 7, 8. Him and Rory, it's revealed, are enjoying each other's company.
Sure.
In the revival.
To the
despite
point
the
of-
fact.
Oh, so he lost his soul.
Despite
And started killing people as
Despite the
Angelus.
fact that he's engaged to someone else.
This happens so much in
And
this show.
it is, once again, this is the spoiler, it is implied that he may be the father of Rory's child.
Oh, they never say.
It's heavily implied.
Okay.
Because she's having this relationship with him, and then she tells her mom she's pregnant.
So, Joel, it doesn't sound like you like anybody.
No.
Would you lean towards end up alone?
Well, the thing is, Rory is kind of the worst in the revival. Like,
Okay.
At the beginning of the series, she's this cute little innocent girl, and then as the series progressed, she became more and more just aimless. And I'm so smart, I don't want
Sure.
to try.
Yeah.
And then I'm not going to do anything. And then she kind of ended up alone. And I think that's kind of where she deserves to go.
It would have been really nice if they picked like a good actress to play Rory.
I like Alexis Bledel, but
I think she fits the.
if
the
we
right-
have to pick, I would
annoying.
say Team No One. But if we have to pick, I would say Team Dean.
I'm going Team No One.
Dean?
I'd say Dean, and here's why.
Dean?
Did somebody say Dean?
Dean? Wrong show. But great.
Wait, I
reference.
thought we were supposed to hate Dean.
I don't hate Dean because I forgive him for being the high school boyfriend because it was this
Well,
immaturity.
that's
thing.
not what you should forgive him about.
No, but then what happens later on, I definitely do not approve of any of the
Sure.
relationship rekindling when he is married.
Yeah.
That drives me nuts. I hate that storyline. It is almost the point where I stopped watching the show But at the same time, I do feel like her and Dean had the best connection, but they were just immature to start. And if they were given another chance, had that not whole ugliness happened, they could have been together.
See, and I would say Jess or no one because it's my moment. But I would say no
prefer
one
him with Mandy Moore.
Yeah.
In the last
Last of Us?
The Last of Us.
This is us.
Someone make that mashup now.
Zach, what do you think?
The Last of Us. Like I said, I don't know as much about Logan.
Yeah.
Admittedly.
You don't, Ace? Because Ace, you should know about that, Ace. Ace is a cute word, apparently. Ace.
How about Ace?
He says Ace all the time.
I do know that.
I hate him.
Should.
So I found
Huntsberger.
I found Jess the most compelling, and I do think that it's one of those things where it's like, sure, rough around the edges. I get that. But like, honestly,
He was 17 and 18 years old, right?
and Rory needed to kind of chill out a little bit. Like she's kind of square. And so I think when you average it out, you get like a mildly terrible human, but like not that bad. So why not go with that?
So Jess.
Fine.
All right.
It's the cute crooked mouth. I can't get past it. Next we have The Hunger Games.
Once again, a movie series. This one ran from 2012 2015. The show synopsis: Katniss Everdeen voluntarily takes her younger sister's place in the Hunger Games, a televised competition in which 2 teenagers from each of the 12 districts of Panem are chosen at random to fight to the death.
So Katniss has always been best friends and I think star-crossed eventual lovers with Gale.
Yes.
Played by Liam Hemsworth. And they were meant to be. And then she volunteers and then she is put in the games with the baker's son, Peeta Mellark.
Played by Josh Hutcherson.
Yeah. And Peeta is someone that she, for like 30 movies, didn't really want to be around.
Yeah.
But somehow they found love.
You have Katniss at the top and Peeta and Gale on the other sides of the triangle. Gale is the tall, dark, and handsome hunter.
I mean, let's be real. If we're being shallow here.
And
Peeta sucks, Team Gale.
Peeta is the,
Wait, just because of looks or everything?
Peeta is the little
Just looks.
the little stocky guy.
Good at disguises, though.
Very good at painting things.
I can throw bags of flour. Yeah.
But he is, I was going to say, apparently he has, quote, ashy blonde hair that falls in waves over his forehead. And he has broad shoulders and strong, according to the...
Hey, look, Katniss, I can paint myself like a rock.
Zach seeing Josh Hutcherson for Bridge to Terabithia all of a sudden.
But the truth is
My
that...
best friend died.
Wow.
Jeez.
The Hunger Games did change Katniss. And
Yeah.
her and Peeta both have that in common. They have this common trauma that they can, understand each other a little better, what they went through.
Obviously, she would want to go through this experience with Gale because he's more strong. He's more passionate about the rebellion. In
And
fact,
they had a better relationship.
He becomes a little bit too passionate about the rebellion once he realizes that there's more of a love connection that he sees on TV with Peeta and Katniss. And so he kind of diverts his attention elsewhere and becomes like this. And I think he's always kind of a protector for her, but he becomes a protector for the uprising. Whereas Peeta...
Sheila, let's overthrow the rebellion.
He is Australian.
Peeta is selfless and gentle.
He's charming. People like him.
He smiles. I don't think Gale ever smiled, but I think Peeta has to smile a lot. He knows how to make bread. Bread is delicious.
It is.
Also, he did strangle Katniss once. He was brainwashed.
Peeta did when
Peeta did.
Yeah, when he was brainwashed.
But he still brainwashed. Or still strangled her.
Brainwashed pass? I don't know.
He gets a brainwash pass?
No.
A brainwash strangle pass?
Maybe. No. I don't know.
This was my band's name in college.
Oh, nope.
So this one's tough, though. I don't know if I'm decided here because in the movie, she ends up, spoiler alert, with Peeta. They both survive.
Yeah.
I think if
Gale goes off to be, he gets a fancy job in District 2 or something like that.
Yeah, because he just becomes consumed with war. I think at the end, I don't think anyone really thought the love story was great.
No.
Pretty passionless, like they were starting a little farm.
It felt a little bit...
it almost feels like an
shoehorned
arranged
for sure.
marriage.
Yeah.
Sure.
I honestly think she should have gone with Gale. I think Gale's my vote here. I thought they got along well. I thought he would be a good support system for her.
Is this a looks thing, though?
I think it's a little bit of a Stockholm syndrome thing with Peeta.
It feels like an arranged marriage.
Because they went through this trauma together. It feels a little contrived.
Yeah.
I mean, they literally,
Like,
in the second movie, it's contrived.
I think, hypothetically, if Gale was in the Hunger Games with her, he would have sacrificed himself so that she could have lived.
Yeah.
Whereas, she was always saving Peeta
Yes.
because he was kind of a pathetic character until he grew. Because he did grow.
And we do have to bring up the fact that, spoiler alert again.
Go on.
That Gale feels somewhat responsible for the death of Katniss's sister.
Yes.
And
She dies?
Way to go.
Where was I?
He says to her, like, every time
Nobody watched those last
every time I
movies.
look at you, I'm going to see her. And every time you look at me, you're going to see her. This isn't going to work.
Yeah.
But I think they could have made it work. I think that time
They're
heals
both
all
so
wounds.
passionate.
And that he could have been that grounding for her. He could have helped her sure foundation, you know?
And I think we're going strictly movies, right? Because in the books, Katniss is more of a proactive character instead of a reactive character. So I don't know. Yeah, I think Gale.
Okay.
We're all Team Gale?
Yeah.
All right. Ooh, I like this one. Now we're going with The Lord of the Rings.
Yes.
The movies that ran from 2001 to 2003, and it's Lord of the Rings. We did whole episodes about this.
So Gimli and who else?
Yeah, Gimli and the bearded dwarf.
Yeah.
No, of course we're doing Aragorn at the top of the triangle here with Arwen Undomia
Yeah.
and Eowyn.
I am no man.
That's right. That's what she says.
Eowyn's freaking awesome.
Eowyn's
Oh, she totally
great.
is awesome.
She killed the Witch King, guys.
She's awesome.
So the movie-
She has such friend energy.
She makes
And doesn't Aragorn
she
know
makes
it?
the most stew.
No, here's the thing, is not having read the books before I saw the movie 20 years ago. I remember seeing Two Towers and I was like, well, yeah, Arwen has a big role. In fact, they wrote more of her into the Fellowship
Yes.
of the Ring.
Yeah.
And I'm like, because they are meant to be. This would align the future king with the kingdom of the elves. Like, this is perfect, right? They are meant. There's a love song in the movie about them. Okay.
Yes.
But then in Two Towers, it was like, hey, he has his own subplot and he finds a human character. And I think we can all relate to this normal human character that deserves more. And I think Aragorn is the more in this case.
Yes.
And she's great.
So, by the way, Aragorn, Arwen
Yeah.
is a half elf.
Yes.
I mean, she lives for a very long time. So when Aragorn first met when Aragorn first met Arwen in Rivendell, she was over 2,700 years old.
Let's
Wait,
I'm
You
just
guys
gonna,
were complaining about 18 and 34
Hey
recently?
man, I'm just gonna say
Oh, now it's okay?
nice.
Wait, are we saying that's such a double standard, though?
Uh-huh.
She's an elf. I think it's a very
Elf or vampire still?
well. She's definitely not as creepy as other people we're going to talk about here.
Yeah.
But he fell in love with her at first sight, and they committed themselves to marrying each other. Which, in making that choice, Arwen gives up her elvish immortality.
Truly. I mean, she separates herself from the kingdom in the end.
Yeah, she doesn't get to go to the what is it?
Into the west, the Greylands.
She doesn't want to live 1,000 lives alone. Is that
Yeah.
what she said? Something that much better?
Meanwhile, you get Eowyn, who ends up with the Kirkland Boromir.
Look, okay,
She marries Faramir.
he's second choice, but he's still a good dude. In fact, probably a better dude than Boromir.
Think so?
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. By the way, in my old dating profile, I wrote, will you be the Eowyn to my Faramir? And then in parentheses, both of our second choices. Because that's just how it goes.
Nice.
But I think she'll be very happy with Faramir. But Aragorn knows this. In fact, he has a talk with. He has to have a DTR with Eowyn.
He does.
Because they really do connect. But he's like, hey, look, I think you're great, but you cannot go on this journey with me because look, that's an important thing for me, and I am betrothed. And for Aragorn, he's nothing if not honorable.
He is.
And so,
by the way, I do think we
that.
really need to enunciate our Aragorn, Arwen, and Eowyn.
Yes.
People that don't follow this story are going to be so lost by this point.
And even for kingdom reasons, like political reasons, I think marrying an elf when you're Aragorn is more important. Because otherwise it's just like, oh, the human kingdom is kind of strong, but for how long? I think being united with the elves is better for the kingdom. And
But
for
she
Middle
gave
Earth.
up her elvishness.
Yeah, but still.
But still, there's an alignment.
Yes.
No, I think Eowyn's got a pretty big head from killing the Witch King of Angmar. So yeah,
She should.
I'm voting for Arwen.
So Vigo and Liv Aerosmith.
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's her name.
It's crazy. Crying amazing.
Yeah. So yeah, we're all voting for Arwen.
Oh, yeah.
Arwen for sure.
Sorry, Eowyn again.
She's
She's
lovely.
great.
She really is awesome, but
she
she's not for Aragorn.
And this just little
Wait, so-
light punch to the
She's-
shoulder. You're great.
So she's fantasy friend zone? Is that what we're
She
saying?
is fantasy friend zone. Like embodied,
Yeah.
personified for sure.
Yeah,
Super cool.
she is awesome. She's great, guys.
Super great.
She's great.
Sit on the other side of the couch. No cuddling.
Oh, that was the opening theme to Lost, wasn't it?
Lost.
I love that theme song.
Yeah, it's actually
Hey, Joel, try to tell us about Lost.
Lost 2004 to 2010. The show synopsis: the survivors of a plane crash are forced to work together in order to survive on a seemingly deserted tropical island.
Yep.
That's we'll keep it.
You're
So
like,
we have-
oh, is it Castaway? No.
nope. It is for a bit, but
For
then
like-
it turns
for
out-
like 2
So you have
episodes?
Kate Austin, here,
Yes.
played by Evangeline Lilly.
Peak Evangeline Lilly.
Peak Evangeline Lilly.
Are you serious?
At the top of the triangle. But then you have Jack Shepherd, played by Matthew Fox, and James Sawyer Ford, played by Josh Holloway.
Freckles.
So these are this is a good love triangle
I think
because
so,
the
too.
whole
This is a good
show
one.
you're like, okay, Jack is this strong-willed leader, straight man,
Flat character.
no, like this good guy.
Yeah.
Then you get Sawyer, who's just a con artist.
Oh, yeah.
This
The
southern
Han
con
Solo
artist.
type.
Totally, this rogue. And you have Kate kind of caught in the middle of like, who does she pick? And the whole show, you don't know.
She's a con artist herself.
Right. And I
She
think
is.
the show in the first season is so clever because you're like, Kate and Jack, they are meant to be together.
Yeah.
They are the leaders of this group.
Yeah.
And then, the more you find out about Sawyer, like, wait a minute, this arc is really great. Then the more you find out about Kate, you're like, she's not as good as I thought. And so I think she and Sawyer kind of meet in the middle.
Well, that's the thing. I think Jack is good for Kate. I think Kate is good for Sawyer.
Yeah.
So you
I
have
think you're
like this pulling back and forth of like, is she going to help pull Sawyer up, or is Jack going to help pull Kate up?
Jack is Batman. The island is Gotham, and that's Jack's main fascination.
Well, I don't want to give a spoiler alert for this one.
I mean, try to spoil Lost.
Well, I'm
please.
just saying, spoiler alert for Lost. I'm serious. I'm going to spoil some things from Lost right now. Okay? 5, 6, 7, 8. Really spoiling things from Lost here, even though it was well over a decade ago. So what happens in the end is, Kate and Jack actually do end up escaping from the island.
Yeah.
And
That's like season 4.
They raise a baby. They raise Claire's baby.
Claire.
And then Sawyer goes off with Juliet. And the Juliet-Sawyer pairing makes perfect sense to me.
Sawyer Juliet's better.
That really did work better because they tried to do Jack and Juliet for a while. I didn't really catch on to that, but I do think.
Do you
Kate
think that
and
was
Jack,
to make the audience feel better that Kate was choosing Jack?
Yes, I absolutely do, Kent.
Right.
But I do feel like Jack makes Kate a better person, and she needs
I
to
think
be
you're right.
a better person.
So TVline.com at their poll had Team Jack winning 57% to Sawyer's 43%.
It's a close match.
But fanpop.com gave Sexy Sawyer 61% to 39%.
It was because they called him Sexy Sawyer.
Yeah, I mean, come on.
That swayed the polls.
I do think Sawyer has automatic charm with everyone.
Yes.
And I feel like he loved love. I think he just wanted someone as a companion. I don't think it had to be Kate. But in this case, it was Kate.
I do think Jack definitely eased up as the series went on. Like he was very rigid at first, and then he kind of like went more kind of like he was science, and he went maybe a little more religion.
Yeah,
I don't know.
sure.
But then Sawyer, you hate him at first, but as you learn more about him, and he does mature definitely as the show goes on. In the end, he makes
a
selfless
reliable,
sacrifices.
a reliable guy on the island and Dharma. But like he becomes really a strong person overall.
Yeah.
And easy to root for.
Yeah.
And Jack, I think, gets worse.
Really?
I do. He becomes less and
He
less
has his up
likable.
and downs.
Especially as you learn more to his backstory, you're like, this isn't a good guy. He's
a
tortured.
Are we talking
guy.
about flash forward
He's
stuff?
tortured. He's troubled. Flash forward, flash back. Either way.
So being
This-
tortured and trouble makes you not a good guy, Ken? Is that what you're saying? How
he's
dare
not,
you?
He's not a good guy.
But I mean, in the sideways, sorry, this is getting so crazy, but Kate does save Jack. She chooses to bring Jack over.
I think Jack has his ups and downs, but I think he's on a consistent upward pattern of being a good person.
I think he's got a dumb tattoo.
Matthew Fox really has those tattoos.
I know. I think they're dumb.
I think, really, if Kate met Sawyer on a parallel dimension, she'd end up with Sawyer. But because she met Jack, Jack would probably he'd get the slight edge
Yeah, so
because of who they are.
I think she should have stayed with Nathan Fillion personally.
Yeah,
I don't remember his character's name. But
None of that.
Yeah.
What? So Jack.
So Jack wins.
Jack.
Sorry,
Kent's
Zach.
choice.
Yes,
Jack.
Jack.
Okay. Shout out Team Sawyer.
He's handsome.
Now we have My Best Friend's Wedding.
Came out in 1997. When a woman's longtime friend reveals he's engaged, she realizes she loves him herself and sets out to get him with only days before the wedding.
This is a classic. Like we are forced in a direction by how the characterization.
So
is.
they're making her a bad person.
They make the
Oh
Cameron,
my goodness, yeah. So Julie
Cameron
Roberts
Diaz.
Julie Roberts plays Julian Potter or Jules.
Jules.
She's an absolute villain in this movie. Absolutely, the villain
It's
of this
kind of
movie.
mean.
Yeah.
Right? Because she's a mean-spirited character.
She attempts to humiliate the bride to be at a karaoke bar. She tricks the bride to be into having her father offer Michael a job. Michael played by Dermot Mulroney.
Michael McDermott Mulroney.
Yes, Michael O'Neill is played by Dermot Mulroney.
Yeah, yes.
But she tricks the bride to be into making her dad offer Michael a job, which she knew would make Michael mad. But she tricked her into doing that. She forges an email that she then sends from another account to once again try and get the job thing to happen. Because
She kisses him.
She kisses him passionately, and then Kimmy sees it.
It feels like the classic. Well, we're going to root for the main character, not actually the good person in this story.
Well, they call it the villain protagonist.
Yes,
actually, I think we're supposed to relate more with the concept of they dated for a month. She friend zoned Michael back when they were in college.
But they had a deal.
When they turned 28, they were going to get married.
Isn't
that so funny? 28, like that's old.
I know. Why'd they choose 28?
It's so weird
30?
because they're both like 57 in the movie. Anyways, but they had this deal where, she wasn't interested until she heard that he was engaged. But it wants to put you in Julia Roberts' shoes.
She's like 3 weeks away from turning 28.
Yeah.
So it's like close to the date.
It wants to put you in her shoes as, I kind of let that one slip by, and now he's going to find happiness, and that could be mine.
Yeah.
And so I think that was kind of the last time she was likable, because then you have Cameron Diaz, who is honestly too sweet in the movie.
She's very bubbly.
Right? And it's just kind of like, of course, she's perfect, right? But she's the new hotness compared to the old standby.
Yeah. And, I mean, spoiler alert for this movie, in the end, Julia Roberts doesn't get the guy.
No.
And I think that's why this movie is better.
Yeah,
because
it's
at
true.
the end, if she would have got him, it would have been just a horrible message.
I agree.
But in this way, she actually ends up kind of being like admitting what she did and helping
Sort of
Kimmy reconcile
strengthen
with
their
Michael
bond,
and being like, no, you love him, he loves you, you guys should be together.
But here's why she should have got the guy.
What?
I'm joking. There's no
okay.
way. And that's the thing. I think it's a disservice because it's almost too easy to say that she doesn't deserve happiness in this case.
But you wonder, like Julia Roberts usually gets the guy.
Yeah.
And so this one movie, you do wonder the whole time. But in the end, definitely, he should be with Kimmy. Michael should be with Kimmy, played by Cameron Diaz.
Yeah.
They're better for each other, and Jules will find someone else.
When she turns 29.
So old. Team Kimmy. Now we have Pretty in Pink.
The old classic.
Yeah, 1986, classic love triangle here. A poor girl must choose between the affections of dating her childhood sweetheart or a rich but sensitive playboy.
Yes,
Played by Bruce Wayne.
Right. So this one, we have Molly Ringwald, who's the classic of the 80s.
Yep.
And it's
Playing
I think
Andy.
it's the atypical, the cliche best, the friend zone scenario.
Yes.
Where you have Ducky, played by John Cryer, quirky as all get out.
Phil Ducky Dale.
Yeah. And then you have Blaine,
Blaine McDonough.
the rich guy from across the tracks.
Played by Andrew McCarthy.
Andrew McCarthy.
Yeah.
And
Great guy.
And this is written by John Hughes.
This is more of a difficult love triangle because Blaine, the rich guy, the preppy guy, he's not a complete jerk. He's friends with a jerk.
He is.
But
and he
he's-
often goes with them.
Yeah, he hangs out with them, but he's not a jerk himself. And in fact, ends up standing up for Andy.
But what this was meant to be is an underdog finds love story. And
Supposed to be.
Did you read about the original ending?
Oh, totally. Yeah.
Yeah. So in the initial test screening, so the director, John Hughes, they put it out, and the movie ended with Annie picking Ducky.
Her best friend rather than the popular guy.
And the audience booed
They hated
loudly.
it.
And the women in the crowd, they left their exit comments. They said, I don't care about the politics or how rich someone is or whatever. We want Andy to get the cute boy. And the cute boy was Andrew McCarthy.
Yeah.
And so they changed it. They hurried and did reshoots. Everyone kind of looked different and stuff for the last prom scene.
Yeah, I remember
And-
they had to wear a wig.
Yeah, and then you have John Cryer saying, go get him or I'm not taking you to another prom. Basically, already knowing how the movie was supposed to end and saying, choose him for the movie that everyone's going to see.
So yeah, the best friend falls on a sword and says, no, go
Yeah.
for the popular guy. And he's a nice guy and it's a cute moment.
Yeah.
But it also is, it's a little sad. And then he gets waved at, Ducky gets waved at by a girl at prom and it's
Yeah.
supposed
They call
to
her
make you feel better.
Duckette, and it's
Christy Swanson.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. But actually, fun fact, and I think I may have brought up some Baconsale before. John Hughes and the other guy he made this movie with were so unhappy with the way it turned out that they remade the movie essentially. Some Kind of Wonderful. The next year it came out.
Yeah.
And the genders of the characters are switched. But in that movie, the main character is going for the popular girl, but then decides to be with his best friend. Little
They did a
Watts,
better job
who's awesome.
because Ducky is actually kind of infatuated.
Yes.
Right? I don't think he's a good match for Andy.
You don't think so?
I don't think either one is. Truly, because this is high school, I think they're all going their own way. I think in 3 years, Andy is very popular in college
Uh-huh.
and has nothing to do with either person because she's
Joins it
definitely
with the
not ending up
Breakfast
with
Club?
Blaine. Yes.
Yeah. So you say Blaine.
I'd say Blaine, but honestly, for prom, and then it goes nowhere after that.
I think they pulled the wrong audiences. I totally say Ducky on this one.
Go on.
I think that best friend story, like I said, it works so well in Some Kind of Wonderful, which is a fantastic rom-com, very overlooked because Pretty in Pink's one of the icons.
But written where the best friend isn't a stalker.
I don't think Ducky's a
Ducky
stalker.
is.
I don't think he's a stalker. I didn't see him as that. I saw him as the best friend who hung around because they were friends. He wasn't stalking her. He was just there because they hung out. And she couldn't see that. And I think those audiences were wrong.
But she also doesn't like him whatsoever, right?
She likes him. Well, they're friends.
Once
She
again,
does-
it's an
that
A-win
happens
situation.
so many times in rom-coms where it's like
Right.
you don't realize you love him until all of a sudden it's like, oh wait, yeah. And so I think
So
Ducky
you think
and Randy-
long-term scenario, Ducky would be a better choice, even
Yes.
though she would have to really do a lot to fall in love with this guy.
I don't think she have to do a lot. I think she would just have to say, oh, he likes me like that? Well, I feel so comfortable and I like him like that too.
Yeah.
I think that would have flipped the switch.
I'm going to stick with Blaine.
I'll stay Ducky.
I've never seen this movie.
It predates you by a
But
little bit.
which name do you like more?
Ducky.
Blaine or Ducky?
Ducky.
I win.
Good. Oh my gosh.
Sure.
Because it sounds like an animated character. You're going to go with Ducky for
Who
real?
does she actually end up with?
Blaine.
I'll
Yeah,
go
it's
with that.
Yeah.
Well, you just switched
Because-
your vote.
Because audience actually.
Well, you
they like
said
that.
what name sounded better.
That was my manipulative way.
Andrew McCarthy's super handsome too.
He is.
Sure. Okay.
John Cryer was in Superman 4.
Well, that settles
And
it.
2.5
Blaine
Men.
it is.
Aw.
Now we have Stranger Things.
Fun fact. This is almost the exact same situation of Steve Harrington being the popular guy that's friends with jerks, but then learns his lesson.
Yeah.
Is it not essentially based off of Pretty
Oh,
in
totally.
Pink?
Yes.
I mean,
But Stranger Things, 2016 to present, show synopsis. Doesn't really matter in this case because weird things are happening, but we're talking about a relationship between Nancy Wheeler, played by Natalia Dyer, and her relationship with Jonathan Byers, played by Charlie Heaton, and Steve Harrington, played by Joe Keery.
It's funny what they did here, right? Because
Yes.
Steve was the bully. He wasn't even like seen as like a regular for season 2. Like they were like, oh, maybe we'll hire this guy on for more because people actually kind of like him, right? He was meant to stay the jerk.
Yeah, he's the popular jock.
Yeah.
And he's trying to date Nancy, and you don't really want them
He's not
together.
nice.
He's not
Yeah.
nice.
Meanwhile, Jonathan's kind of a stalker. I'm sorry, I'm going back to the stalker thing, but he
Oh,
is, right?
Well, can you know a thing or two about stalkers?
So he is the nice guy for Nancy. He does feel like he knows how to treat her right. And so they do end up dating for a couple seasons. And I feel like it goes okay for a couple seasons up until I think one of the worst plot lines of the recent season of season 4 was the way they kind of treated Jonathan because he's a loser.
I was not gonna say it, but now I'll say it because you said it, Kent.
Yeah.
I think in the first couple seasons, Jonathan is an outcast.
Yeah.
And in the final last season, he's a loser.
Yeah.
Not like people aren't trying to push him out anymore. He's just hanging around with Argyle and just smoking.
Yeah.
And he's supposed to go to college with his girlfriend, Nancy, and they're supposed to go together and
He's telling lies.
and
Like, oh, yeah,
he's
I'm gonna
lying,
go.
but he doesn't really care about that anymore. I don't think they're going to be together much longer. Meanwhile, Steve Harrington,
Okay.
Steve the Hair Harrington, Joe Carey did such a good job
He really is the hair.
at this character that you absolutely like. In the first season, you're kind of like, this guy's a jerk, but by the end, you kind of like him.
Yeah.
And now you love him.
And he claims in the most recent season that he has feelings for Nancy still.
Yeah.
But could he fall back in old habits? The way he treated her in season 1, if they got back together and he's like, that was easy.
In 2, he gets a little jealous.
Yeah. Could he fall back and be like, oh, yeah, we're dating again. I'm just going to mistreat her again?
No.
Because he definitely did.
I think Steve has learned so much from being constantly
Being friends
accosted
with
by the
12-year-olds.
supernatural,
Sure.
getting beat up by Russians.
Yeah.
I think he's learned so much that he would be a good fit for Nancy again. And I don't think Jonathan's going anywhere or doing anything.
Well, you know who disagrees with you?
Who?
Millie Bobby Brown. She
Whoa.
chooses Team Jonathan for Nancy because he's kind, Brown explained, and he might just need a bit more time to grow into himself as a man.
Yeah.
Because he is a teenage boy, and yes, right now he's not in a good place. But I think maybe by season 5, the writers are going to put us as the audience in a spot where we actually say who's better or who's going to sacrifice themselves in this case. Because I think one of them will. One of the guys will by the end of the show. And I think we're supposed to care because right now, let's just say Jonathan, throws himself on the fire. No one's going to care because of who he is. But I think they're
in
going to
this
have
last season,
They're going to
First
have to
couple
write him
seasons,
in a way.
Absolutely, I would care. But
I
now,
think they're going to actually make us care about who she chooses.
okay.
Obviously, Steve's way more likable
Right now, yeah.
But I feel bad for Jonathan because of where he's at.
I think Jonathan has made some decisions that have really lessened his character. And I say him, his writers, but I'm picking Steve here. I think Steve and Nancy should
Just
get
because
back
he's more
together.
likable? Because you like Steve? Do you like Nancy as a character?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So
I think that Steve has definitely grown as a character, and he would never fall back to
I
his
think
old ways.
Nancy and Jonathan are both so vanilla that maybe they'd make a happy couple.
I'll go with Steve.
Yeah, that's the right choice.
You should, just because the hair.
Yeah. I've seen that show.
Believable.
Now it's Sweet Home Alabama.
Where the skies are so blue.
It's true.
I watched this today for the first time.
For the first time?
Yeah. I avoided this movie like crazy.
But why?
I don't like rom-coms.
You like some rom-coms.
Some. But this is like the atypical rom-com that I would avoid. Came out in 2002.
And what'd you think? You didn't like it.
No.
Show synopsis. A young woman who's reinvented herself as a New York City socialite must return home to Alabama to obtain a divorce from her husband after 7 years of separation.
So this one...
Reese Witherspoon at the top here.
Yeah, we're going to spoil Sweet Home Alabama.
Oh, no.
From 2002. You know, Kent, most people have watched it
Okay.
in the past 21 years.
So she's engaged to a very rich person, Andrew, played by Patrick Dempsey.
Yes, Andrew Hennings.
And he's a nice guy. And I think this movie, even though I didn't love it, I didn't find it very funny, I think has, for rom-coms, a great love triangle because both guys are great.
My wife would say the best love triangle.
Okay.
Because when I presented all these to her just to get a female opinion and figure out kind of who she'd pick. And this one she said, I'm not picking. Because both these guys are good. Both these guys are good choices.
I kept waiting because obviously most of the screen time is given. So, by the way, and you said this, she goes back home to Alabama and she finds her roots again with her childhood best friend / guy she kissed when she was 8 and then lightning struck and all
Jake
that sort
Perry,
of thing.
played by Josh Lucas.
They were married and she's trying to get a divorce so that she can
married.
get married to Patrick Dempsey.
Right.
Basically, like she had a miscarriage and then she left town and then lived her life and honestly sought her dreams in New York, became a fashion designer.
Yes.
Everything she ever wanted to do, she changed her name and kind of started lying to everybody.
Her name was Melanie Smooter.
Yeah, which I love, right? And became Melanie Carmichael.
Yes.
And so I'm watching this going, okay, Josh Lucas is great in this movie. Super likable.
Yes.
And then you're like, how are they going to make Patrick Dempsey unlikable? Because obviously we're supposed to choose the hometown boy.
Right.
Even though I don't know if that's what she wants.
But keep in mind, we've had 20 years of Hallmark movies doing this exact same storyline over and over again. I'm not saying this is the first, but I'm saying this is one of the most popular. Well,
I would say the formula setter for a lot of this.
It definitely is because it was so popular. The movie was so popular.
And then Patrick Dempsey's character's mom, played by Candice Bergen, she's a bad person. Like
she's a politician who hates the Southern life.
We don't want Reese Witherspoon to end up with him just because of his mom, but truly he's still good.
Yeah.
And so that's where I'm kind of split. I actually think Patrick probably deserves better than Reese Witherspoon's character because she lied to him for years.
She did.
And he had to find out.
She was Melanie Smooter.
Yeah, right? He had to find out
Felony
on
Melanie.
accident.
So this one, I feel, in Jake, the guy she left
Josh
behind,
Lucas, yeah.
He was kind of a drifter back in the day. He was kind of a Jonathan, shall we say. Jonathan Byers.
Yeah.
But since after she left him, he really did have a wake-up call, and he's been trying to make something of himself since then, to the point where he wasn't signing the divorce papers because he wanted to prove to her that he had changed, and he wanted to get to a certain point before he let her know.
But they hadn't talked in years.
No. And
7 years.
It's been a long time.
Yeah.
But I do feel like he has grown. He has become a better person, and spoiler alert for 2002. For those of you who haven't seen a movie that's 21 years old.
I hadn't until the other day.
She chooses Jake. She chooses to stay with her original husband and hang out in
Is it because he fought for her love? Whereas I think Patrick Dempsey's character is more unassuming. And he's like, really? This is happening? Oh, this sucks.
I think it's because I think that Andrew is going to be just fine if he doesn't marry Melody.
Yeah, well, he
does. He gets engaged to someone else. But I think Jake would be absolutely demolished and kind of just his life would spiral if he
She left him for 7 years, though.
And he was trying to be a better person. So
no, I'd almost say he's fine. She's not. She sought New York. She has this career. I wonder if she can pull it back to Alabama and be like, yeah, I have a little shop now.
She does.
Yeah, I know. But does she find happiness in that? Or does she miss the high life?
I think Felony Melanie's very happy in Pigeon Creek.
So Jake in the movie does say, you can take the girl out of the honky tonk, but you can't take the honky tonk out of the girl.
I have that on a t-shirt.
Stop that. You
no, I don't.
Live, laugh, love.
Can you imagine me wearing that t-shirt?
But this is a hard one because
Baconsale store.
She ends up with Jake, but I think both are great choices.
They are both great choices. And that's why I like this movie, because one of them isn't a puppy kicker.
Just because I'm going to give it to Andrew, just to spite you. Zach?
It's Jake.
Okay,
Thank you.
There we go.
It's Jake.
Thank you, Zach. Good
you know I agree with you, too.
Zach,
I just had to disagree.
you are not a puppy kicker.
Am I?
A puppy kicker.
You're a little bit of a puppy kicker, Kent.
Oh.
On Baconsale, not in dating.
Not in real life.
We have that T-shirt in the store. Dare to be the puppy kicker.
And it was a full-grown dog, okay? Can I say that?
They're all puppies.
Yeah, but it was like a dachshund. That counts as a puppy, man.
Yeah, the distance on that one.
Stop!
Kent, you can't punt a wiener dog.
That's a t-shirt.
Okay, now let's go to Twilight.
Oh, the epic love.
The epic.
2008, 2012.
Don't sigh like that.
We did a whole episode about it on episode 259, Twihard with a Vengeance.
Oh, yeah.
But
Great
you have
episode.
here Bella Swan at the top of the pyramid,
Yeah.
and then you have her two love interests, Edward Cullen, played by Robert Pattinson, and Jacob Black, played by Taylor
Us
Lautner.
watching these movies was instrumental in my marriage.
Yeah, that's special,
Yeah.
right?
That's a bizarre statement.
It was like a bonding little date we went on, my wife and I.
The funny thing is, we've talked about the positives, the pros of the suitors of the previous categories, of the
Yes.
previous movies. These are just red flags. And it's like, who has fewer red flags
Yes.
between Edward and Jacob?
Yes.
I know we probably talked about it on the episode, and
Yeah.
we probably picked, and I may contradict myself.
Sure.
But there's not a great choice here.
Okay, well, you're right. I mean, like Jacob, for example, right? He's warm. He's sensitive.
He's a wolf.
He's a wolf.
He's
right?
immature.
And actually, Bella could have a normal life, living the normal Quilluti life with Jacob, right?
Yeah.
I probably pronounced that right. Don't worry
I
about
think you
it.
said Quaaludes.
Quaalude life.
But he
That's really accurate.
yeah.
he also imprints on her daughter.
Because he couldn't get her. That's the whole Ducky thing of like
He-
giving someone like,
Yeah,
oh, let's give you
that's why
the
Ducky should never win.
there.
But he saved the daughter.
Yeah, but he falls in love with the baby.
He saved
a
her
CG
life.
baby.
She was a monster.
I'm
I
just
understand.
talking purely tactile here.
Go on.
Purely tactile. Edward's skin is like marble.
Yeah.
He's pale and his skin is like rock hard.
Say it.
He's
Say it.
ice cold.
Say
he
it.
sparkles in the sunlight.
Say it.
He's a Stephanie Meyer vampire. But he's cold. Jacob, on the other hand, his body temperature is warmer than a human should be, so he's about 108.9 degrees Fahrenheit.
Every night in
Who
the
do you
winter.
want to cuddle up with in
Every
bed?
night in the
a
winter.
popsicle or a heater?
There's a scene in Eclipse where she's freezing to death. They're in a tent up on the
Yes.
mountain.
I think the tent scene's great.
And Edward has to sit there and watch her cuddle in one sleeping bag with Jacob. Listen, I'm already a heater. Give me Robert Pattinson all day. Okay? I need something to cool me down. Tall glass
Edward is every
of
red
marble
flag
water.
of a relationship that you could get. Jacob
So
at least has
Jacob's
some green
not?
flags. He has some red flags, but not as much as Edward standing in the corner watching her sleep. Cullen. I get him confused.
Same. So you're taking Shark Boy over Batman?
Yes. Shark Wolf Boy over Batman.
Okay.
Over Coke Zero.
Kent?
Batman.
Jacob gave her an ultimatum. I don't think that's very healthy for a relationship. I think Edward, like they do have a codependent relationship. Neither are good, Joel. Don't give me that look.
I'm sorry Jacob gave him an ultimatum. I'm pretty sure that
That's
Edward...
true. Hey, he said, if you choose him, you'll never see me again. Meanwhile, Edward's like, I understand your feelings for Jacob. I'm not comfortable with it, but that's okay.
That's
We
after
can
he
keep him around.
stalked her and yelled at her and manipulated her.
He hated her smell. Okay, but here's the thing. I think both are bad, but who does she choose?
She chooses Edward Cullen.
She chooses Edward. This is love.
And they're like,
here.
yeah, you can have her daughter.
She has, and she may be a bad choice, but also what Jacob ends up being and falling in love with is really
But they
gross.
but they only did that because that was the throwing him a bone, throwing the wolf a bone there, because they could not. They were like, okay, well, Jacob, everyone's gonna be sad because Jacob ended up with no one. They're like, let's let him imprint
So I took a quiz on
Saved her life.
on Renaissance
popbuzz.com has a quiz of
Goodness,
who's
Pop
better
Buzz.
for you. Okay. And my result was Jacob Black. And it says, in quotes, you are destined to end up with Jacob Black. You have a thing for compassionate, funny, and strong men, and Jacob is just that.
There you go.
He will literally take the shirt off his back to keep you warm, and he will fight anyone who does you wrong. A caring werewolf with abs.
So is that your pick?
No, it's Edward.
I'm choosing Jacob.
Because you want the warmth to cuddle with at night.
I think he's warmth in personality and warmth in skin.
Yeah. Wouldn't you rather go to birthday parties with the Cullen clan and stare at each other weirdly?
No, I hate baseball. I want to turn into a wolf and be telepathic.
Oh, I see why. Because you don't like Muse.
Telepathic
They play Muse
wolves.
when they play baseball.
And Carlisle looks just like Matt Bellamy from Muse.
Yeah, that's
Jacob
true.
smiles once in a while. That's nice. I'd
does.
like to have hang out with someone that I smile.
He's so whiny.
Do you know
though.
how many shirts you'd go through? How many pants you'd have to replace? It just the clothing disappears in this man.
Also,
Crazy.
he
Oh,
can
well,
mind talk with his family, and so he's talking about you. They're just staring at each other. You're like, what are you saying about me?
But
What's going
I don't
on?
have to turn into one of them to be them.
No, it's true. But she wanted to be immortal.
But like you'd be real fast though.
All right, guys, we got
Team Edward.
Boo. Boo to both of you.
And finally, X-Men.
yes.
Da-na-na-na-na. So this goes from 2000 to 2019. How far are we going with the X-Men franchise?
Well,
here?
it depends because there's obviously the comics, the animated series, and the movies.
We're mostly focusing on the movies because we're talking about.
I'm going to say let's focus
Can I refer
mostly
to the
on
comics?
X-Men, X2, and X-Men
X3
Last
The Last
Stand.
Stand.
X3
'Cause they do
The Last
come back
Stand?
in Days of Future Past.
I feel like canon needs to be talked about though, because in the comics canon, Jean Grey and Scott are kind of like
Wait. Talk about the triangle. So we got Jean Grey at the top, Scott Summers / Cyclops, and then Wolverine or Logan / Wolverine on the other side.
So Wolverine has always pined for Jean Grey, who is always tied to but not betrothed to Scott Summers.
They were dating.
They were dating, but it was like, will they get married, or is just like, let's just fight some Sentinels or whatever.
Planning on it.
Yeah, but it was always kind of a bad relationship between Jean and Scott in the comics.
Oh,
It goes poorly, and that's what I want to say is
Nerd.
well, yeah, it was never a sacred
comics
thing.
don't count.
To the point where Jean does die a few times in the comics. She gets married. Clones get married to Scott Summers. And then when she comes back, she actually does start making out with Wolverine.
Does Wolverine imprint on a clone?
Probably.
Fun fact: Scott Summers. Apparently, he's irresistible to women with telepathic abilities because all the telepaths seem to be attracted to him. So apparently, the guy's got good, pure, happy thoughts.
Oh, yeah. Hey.
Meanwhile, you get Wolverine / Logan, who's not necessarily. I mean, if we're going comics, he's not Hugh Jackman.
No.
He's not exactly.
Are you
going
to make a height joke? Are you going to make fun of short guys?
No,
Short kings?
I'm just going to say that in the comic, that Hugh Jackman is about a foot taller than Wolverine in the comics.
Yeah.
Hugh Jackman is 6'3", and Wolverine in the comics is 5 foot.
Okay, but if we're going straight movies,
We
James
are.
Marsden, and he's great in every single love triangle he's
Oh my
in.
gosh, James Marsden is in so many.
But
we didn't even bring up Enchanted.
But he's a pansy in every single love triangle he's
We're
in.
banned from Twitter.
Yeah. So yeah, we did.
He's a beta male.
Yeah. Especially Cyclops, the active leader of the X-Men.
He's brave. He's a leader.
He's a pretty.
He's a Leonardo.
He's a pretty lame leader.
Yeah.
No,
let's be
he's
honest.
not.
James Marsden, Cyclops.
He is.
No,
But he doesn't
in
have
the cartoon.
No, but
He doesn't have that
the thing,
it
the
factor.
thing about Cyclops is he does have that low self-esteem. He has that imposter syndrome where he is the leader, he is the hero,
So,
but he's always
listen,
self-doubting himself.
So the wild card here is Jean, because Jean is a destructive force. Right? She seems super chill.
Literally a destructive
but man,
force.
when she is bad, she becomes the Phoenix, then the Dark Phoenix, and will destroy the world pretty easily.
Well, that's kind of how it ends up because she doesn't end up with neither. She ends up with neither.
Well, so
the movie.
in the movie, she kills Cyclops immediately.
She friend-zoned Wolverine and then killed Scott.
I was so mad when she killed Cyclops because in the comics, when she becomes the Dark Phoenix, it is his love and his steadiness, because that is Cyclops in the comics and cartoon, that keeps her from destroying the world, and she sacrifices herself.
Yeah. So between the choice of Wolverine and Cyclops in the movies, she chose violence.
Yeah. Whereas there is a what if comic book where Jean and Logan are together. She becomes the Dark Phoenix, and Logan tries to calm her down, but he just doesn't have the sensibility. There's no control with him because he's a raging animal, and she destroys the world.
she goes to read his mind, and it's just bub.
No, but in X3, it is Wolverine that ends up talking her down because Scott is dust.
Well, because Hugh Jackman is the star, right?
Yeah.
And that's the way they
James
position it.
Marsden clearly had like a conflict.
Oh, he did with the Superman Returns.
Really?
Oh,
He did.
is that why
he had to leave.
That's why. That's one of the worst parts ever. Where it's like, I guess Cyclops died off
Cyclops
screen.
is gone.
He's off screen dead. Oops.
Yeah, and I think Logan is the kind of bad boy she would have dated in like early academy in the Xavier school.
Yeah.
But I think Scott is more marriage material.
You ride the motorcycle with Wolverine, and you take Cyclops home for dinner.
Yes.
That's weird, but I agree with you guys.
Yeah, I think
It's got to be Scott. It's
Scott.
Scott. Gene. Anyway, so there you go. That is our.
so we agreed with the protagonist, the person who is choosing a lot.
For the most
we
part.
disagreed a few times.
Yeah. But I think
and mostly
overall.
writers do have an agenda, and they're going to say, well, obviously we want to be right, so we're going to choose this for the writing.
Well, and I hope if any screenwriters are listening to or novelists are listening to Baconsale right now, I hope you take this as a lesson that you don't have to make the love triangle with an obvious choice and a puppy kicker.
Right.
It's nice when you have that, they're both good options. And then, give the audience a reason to root for one or the other, but don't make it super obvious. That takes away all the fun.
Right.
But let us know on Facebook, on Instagram, on Twitter, if you agree with our love triangle decisions during this romantic time of year. We like to hear from you. We love it. Was that creepy?
Yeah. We love it.
Love it.
We want your attention.
Before we go, we'd like to thank our patrons.
Give some love to patrons.
Right. We'd like to give you guys some love.
And nasonex.
So thank you for being the I'm the Listener category. It's Lady Terry A. Finley, Jennifer Kielkowski, Braden Winterton, Alicia Bass, Sir and Madam Hicks, Adam and Rachel Crump, Scott Sprague, Juice, the Cooler King Swallow, Andrew Dancing Through the Fire, Casey Cummings, Ryan and Marley, Debbie Foster, Dave Kelly, Angela Plotz, Briggs is Hot, and Rocky and Steph. And from the Bacon Council, we have Nicole D. Kale, the one, the only Chris Anderson, Johnny English the Brick, Stephen, everyone's favorite Ross, Her Royal Highness Jessica Terry, our favorite couple, the Madsons, Star Wars expert Kyler, Glow Clan Daniel, the other Josh, and Beaker.
Yeah. Thank you, patrons. We heart you, and you are the Melanie to our Smooter.
We love you.
But if you want to find me, you can find me at 76Joel on Twitter. You can find me performing with Quickwits. They perform at the Midville Performing Arts Center. For more details, go to qwcomedy.com or go to the Quickwits Facebook page.
If you want to find me on Twitter or Instagram, it's at Kenny3DD. If you want to read my movie reviews, it's ShowtimeShowdown.com.
If you'd like to connect with me, you can do so on Twitter and Instagram at Tumbling Mustard. But more importantly, make sure you're following Baconsale. Go ahead and like that Facebook page and visit at Baconsale on Twitter and Instagram. While you're doing that, visit tpublic.com/Baconsale where you can get yourself some merch. Please wear a Baconsale t-shirt, post a picture on Instagram, tag us. No one's done that.
We like it.
No one has ever done that.
They have.
Then if you like what's going on here and you want to support us further, visit patreon.com/Baconsale, where support starts at just $3 a month. You can get all sorts of fun benefits, including maybe the potential of like a live stream Bacon bit. That was experimented upon this week.
We're working
We'll
on
see
it.
if that works out. Patreon.com/Baconsale.
So until next time, we were on a break!
Rewind, Kent.
Shouldn't I
really
be
like you.
a romantic interest in some way to be part of that love triangle? Otherwise, I'm just a stalker.
There's one
Still the
good
end.
choice, and it's not the most handsome one.
The handsome guy is the one that he's a murderer. But I'll get there. I had a brain triangle just then.
Oh, no.
She did not go to Slayer school to not have your respect.
Spike don't play with girls.
Save it for our Batman defending show, which apparently we're going to have to do one day against Zach. Spoiler alert. Bruce Wayne is Batman.
What?
Da-na-na-na-na-na-na, friend zone.
Love
You
interest.
can't have a stable relationship when you're moonlighting as a vigilante.
Yeah.
I've tried.
Friends.
I don't share food. Joey doesn't share food. Ah, this Rachel thing. I'm pondering it again.
Milo Venomnomo. Dean Polakol. Matt Chichichi. It's the cute crooked mouth. I just can't. I can't get past it. Hey, look, Katniss. I can paint myself like a rock. My best friend died. She has such friend energy.
Will you be the Eowyn to my Faramir? So she's fantasy friend zone? Is that what we're
She
saying?
is fantasy friend zone.
And the distance on that one.
Stop.
Kent, you can't punt a wiener dog.
He's warmth in personality and warmth in skin.
You ride the motorcycle with Wolverine and you take Cyclops home for dinner.
Scott!
Scott!
Gene.